Hi, I'm Eileen Bild, and I am with Otel Talk. And today I am really thrilled to have with us Temple Hayes. And she is a spiritual leader, author, and difference maker, as well as the founder for ILLI.org, and that stands for Institute for Leadership and Lifelong Learning. Hi, Temple. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I was very much looking forward to talking to you and connecting with you for sure.
Thank you. Yes, I've been looking forward to this as well. So we're going to be talking today about your contribution and your life in relation to the book, Crappy to Happy, Transformational Change for Joy. So you had an experience that put you on a path and on a journey in life that started from feeling hurt and abandoned at an early age. And I think a lot of people have that challenge in their life. And you mentioned that there was a day along that journey and that path that was a defining moment for you. So I'd like to hear more about that.
Absolutely. Well, I was born in a small town. They had big hearts, but very small minds. And they, it's part of what we deal with in our society, even now, of just putting bright and gifted children into a education system that wants you to be like everybody else, walk the straight and narrow, and this is normal, and you develop your brain, and how much you memorize material has something to do with how great or significant that you are. And so I was the one that always asked the questions. Why do we do this? Why is this necessary? Why is this important? And it was very difficult for me as a kid because being raised in a deep-rooted Southern Baptist community and hearing the message that they were talking about when they talked about God, it was very evident they weren't talking about a God that would be there for me. So I had this, I would talk to God myself, and yet what I saw was, oh, this isn't it. This isn't what I'm identifying that it is, because based upon what they're saying, this is, really bad. And my family discovered that I had a girlfriend, like a girlfriend. Do you know, like girlfriend, with exclamation marks. And my grandmother told me she was sorry she wasn't going to see me in heaven. I'm 13 and a half, So they took me to the mental health clinic to do an assessment, and I was terrified that they were going to put me in an institution. And one of you or two or five of you might be thinking, well, would people do that? They did it all the time back then.
Wow.
You just didn't hear about it. And so it was terrifying to feel like, wow, in this system, I am truly a misfit. I'm a misfit. I am like, I don't fit in at all. And it was just very difficult. So I went on because the outside was abandoning, rejecting me. Then I did that to myself. And went on quite a path. I mean, right? If you don't see the mirror that welcomes you, and this is so important for people to realize in the early days of children and as teenagers, they respond to the mirror you show them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? So when you look weary, they feel weary. When you don't smile, they're not smiling. When you don't give inspiration and hope, they don't get that either. So when you look at them like you're disgusted with them because they're 14 and 15 and they're hard to deal with, that's what they breathe into their consciousness, So anyway, because of that energy and that hole in my soul, I went on to drink quite actively for like 15 years. I just celebrated this past week 33 years sobriety.
Oh, congratulations. That's
Yep.
awesome. So in order to pull yourself out and recognize that you were not uh, really part of that system, part of that mentality. Uh, what did you have to do for yourself in order to become who you've ultimately become, and I'm sure you're still becoming,
Yeah.
and what you teach today, and how you help people, and that difference maker that you are. So if someone's listening and they feel abandoned in any way, shape, or
Yeah.
form, perhaps you can inspire their ability to rise above whatever situation they're in. What did you specifically do to rise above yours?
Well, you almost have to shift it in the opposite direction. That's why I highlighted in this book, which, by the way, I'm thrilled to be a part of, Crappy to Happy, because that was kind of the energy of my article, was from misfit to mystic. And so if you're out there and you feel rejected and abandoned, you feel let down, keep in mind that's on human terms. That's not on spiritual terms. That's on somebody seeing you, they don't get you, they can't identify with you, they don't relate to you. That's not really your problem. That's a problem that they're having. What you do with it can become your problem or not. And that's the part where often you want to dig deeper. And I would need to go into the closet of my own life and into my own heart and say that I'm very connected with nature. I love animals. I'm very connected. I know that I am not a mistake. I know that I'm not an error. I know that I'm not a misfit. And so you draw deeper into that. And so the other side of transformation is,
Uh-huh.
I'm an original idea. What a concept.
You're unique.
I was born ahead of my time. Oh, I'm going to be one of those trailblazers. Instead of the trail kicking me, I'm going to be a trailblazer. I'm going to be edging my way to the path. Oh, I'm determined that I'm going to see what's on the other side of this, because I know this has to work out. I have too much faith for it not to. So it's drawing deeper into that. People spend too much time, trying to change people's minds, or putting too much energy on one outside thing, or looking for approval. It's exhausting. There's a saying that says, stop trying to teach the pig to sing. It will make you mad, and it will anger the pig. And so a defining moment for me was to understand it took as much energy to be a failure as it did a success.
That's interesting.
As a matter, because it's energy, right?
Right.
And it often takes more energy to be a failure, because you're living from a past repeated paradigm instead of moving forward. Instead of opening up to, something different and something greater. And so I just decided to show myself, what I could be.
That's awesome.
And open up to that instead of what I wasn't.
Or what other people, what other people were trying to make you believe you were, right?
Exactly.
Did you know that it takes more muscles to frown than it does to smile?
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
right. So
Yes.
if we learn to smile more, even going through those challenging times, then I think we can tap into more of the possibilities and the opportunities of what can be, and not being settled into what other people have defined for us.
Absolutely. And if you're out there today and you're discouraged and you feel hopeless, hang on. Because your joy is coming, and this is the other way in which we are programmed. We're programmed that, let's almost replace our humanity. We're programmed to this ladder of, deemed success. And we're programmed that, when something happens to you, that it takes your energy away, it zaps you. There's, by the time you're 40, you're just going to be worn out. And it's all set up in a system to program you to be herded instead of using your own mind. It's all part of a system, the educational system, the pharmaceutical system. There's all these systems that they're all in agreement. They're going to do everything they can to keep you from being empowered. Because as long as they can say, we did it, look, these people, they're not empowered. As long as they can do that, then we are easily convinced that we need to go get this, we need to take this, we have to take this pill to stay younger, we have to do this. And we're not drawing on our own natural mystic resources that are available to us. And so it's not that you become cynical and that you're angry about a system. You just learn how to work with it, and you're aware, and you're aware of the way that you can get duped into not using your own mind and not allowing yourself to be creative. And when you go through something, and this is a real breakthrough for me, when I kept thinking, well, if I am so special and the creator wanted me to be something and to be somebody, why have I had so many things happen? And then I would go back and look at all those things that happened, and I looked at how they shaped me, how they made me bigger, how they made me more alive, how they made me more awake. Great people have great issues.
That is true. I don't think anybody. I don't think anybody who's made it beyond a challenging situation hasn't had more than one challenge in their life. I think I like to say life is the master teacher. We learn from our experiences and those challenges. There's something that you said. Let me see. To wish upon a star is progress. To knowing you are a star is evolution. I love that. So where did that come from? Why did you write that?
Thank you. It just downloaded one day in my heart, to wish upon a star is progress, because, that's songs that we've heard growing up. And when you wish upon a star, it makes no difference, where you are. But to know you are a star is evolution, to know that you are absolutely necessary, and that there is no one that has your imprint, no one that has your consciousness, no one that can fully express you, than you. And so one of the ways that became so significant to me, and I spoke last year at Carnegie Hall, I did the Christmas message, and I told this story of that when I was a teenager, I was always drawn to the crescent moon and star. And one time I went with a bunch of people, and they all wanted tattoos. Well, as a girl in the 70s and early 80s, getting a tattoo, along with the fact that, oh my God, I'd already drawn enough attention to myself as being weird. Well, you just didn't have a tattoo. But so I went to the bar next door and got very happy, a different kind of happy. And so I got this tattoo of this crescent moon and star. Well, my aunt saw it and said, we're cutting this off your arm right away. That's the Islamic flag. Oh, just another reason that you are into this satanic stuff. And why are you so about the devil? I can't believe you, and you weren't raised that way, and blah, 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 blah. Well, I still have it. Okay. So apparently I didn't get it cut off my arm for sure. But it's very interesting. When I was 40-something, I was speaking at a alcohol retreat, and a man wanted to give me a gift. And he had ordered from this company the way the stars were aligned the night that I was born in the city that I was born in, at the time I was born. And guess what it was? It was a crescent moon and star. So intuitively, I was resonating with that in my own DNA all my life. And then I understood why.
Interesting.
So that's why it's so important. That's why I say to people, stay with it, hold on, stay in it, because you will live long enough. It will all come around, that it will all make sense to you, but it won't ever make sense to you if you don't make sense to you, you know. And if you don't claim this is who I am an original idea, and love that. And if you're over 30, quit blaming your parents. You know, own up, right?
Right. That can
Own
be
up.
challenging because we tend to want to point fingers out here and forget to
Yeah.
go inward. And I know I've spent a lot of years practicing that inner journey. And when I hear other people say, "Well, they make me feel this way," or blaming somebody else, it I look at it as it stops them in their tracks. It
Mhm.
holds them back.
Sure.
Something that you said earlier has me thinking. I want to ask or talk about. Um, I understand that we are all unique and we are all here for a purpose, whatever that purpose may be. And that if we don't take ownership of that authenticity of who we are and why we are here,
Hmm.
we are doing a disservice for those who need what we have to offer.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to hear your thoughts about that.
Well, we do a disservice certainly to ourselves first and foremost, but to so many other people. You know, I mean, I was in ministerial school, terrified of public speaking, and telling the teacher that, please don't call on me. I
Good
mean,
luck with that.
the first talk I did, you know, some 30 years ago, um, I said, oh my God, why did I do that? I told them everything I know, and I have 51 more weeks this year to go. What
Oh,
am I going to tell them? I absolutely have nothing else to say. That was it. That was the one talk. But you understand, and you learn that every part of your life has a dot. You know, it has a space. It has a connection, and it all comes into play. And I look at life now, and I boldly talk about my sobriety. I have for about 30 years. And I've had many people through the years in the US and other countries come up to me and say, thank you for sharing your story. It's helped me understand my son better. Or, you're right. I'm going to go home and tell my daughter, I'm sorry I gave up on her, that I met someone today that somebody didn't give up on. And, you know, if you haven't said it, it hasn't been said. You know, to say other people are doing that is not an excuse, because there's a resonation that can happen from your own heart that people can hear it. You know, I love talking about my life as a gay woman, and how that was, and how challenging at times that was. Or the times I felt bullied, or, you know, picked on, or, you know, whatever. Or I can talk about my type A personality that was an All-American and president of the student body. You know, I was on all sides of the spectrum. But your stories about your life are what people resonate with. And that's what people identify with. And so it's beautiful to own all facets of your life and be willing to express them, because people can be awakened from some of your stories. They can be helped in the most amazing ways. And it's like somebody said to me, you know, about my alcoholism, or aren't you anonymous? And I went, be quiet about something that I deserve to talk about. I don't think so. Oh my gosh, I survived myself. No, I'm not going to be quiet. I did it for 15 years, and I am going to share it when it's appropriate and live out loud about it. It's part of who I am. So,
well, what I hear is when you take ownership of all of those stories, it's your core truth. And people resonate. They seem to be drawn when you're speaking your core, that core that is not sugar coated or
Mhm.
tipping around on eggshells. And because people don't feel heard and understood as a general rule these days, when they hear someone speaking their truth, now they feel like they have permission to speak their truth and be heard and understood.
Yeah.
So I
So,
love that you're a good role model for that, and that you help others um, to blossom and unleash themselves from whatever's holding them back. Um, you found
well,
freedom. Oh,
I think it's important, to be willing to share. When I was, 30, I remember, going into a creative living kind of therapeutic course, and they said, we want you to come next week and tell us and answer the question, who am I? And I sat there and I wept, and I said, I have no idea. I've been a chameleon. If I was with the smokers, I smoked. If I was with the drinkers, I drank. If I were with the traditional Christians, I was just like, oh, okay, yes, hallelujah. I adapted to the culture, and so insecure and people pleasing, and that core inside my stomach. you know if I thought that, oh, here we go, red flag, red flag, red flag, they're going to ask me who's my husband, and I'm going to say I don't have one, and red flag, red flag. And that insecurity part, that was indwelling in me, was not overridden by the greatness of what was indwelling in me. and
hmm.
and that and the more and more and more that you live in that, the more you release this other aspect of those sensations that want to make you small, and you step into what makes you great, and all of that. And I would say that for me, the secret of life and of my life isn't how successful I am, or how many Facebook followers, or that, or any of those things. I would say that there became a time in my life that I became comfortable with myself. I am comfortable with myself, and the judgment or anything doesn't change me. I'm comfortable with who I am, and that puts you in a whole different place in your life of deep joy, of having your heart open. And it doesn't matter whether or not you can trust someone else. You can trust yourself. So many people waste so many years of their lives going, well, I don't know, I hardly trust anybody these days. Well, what you just told me is you don't trust yourself.
Right.
Because if you trust yourself, it's not an issue with trusting somebody else. You'll make the right decision when the time comes, you know?
Well,
So it's a fascinating life. It's
I
a
like that.
fascinating life.
I like how you say it's fascinating. And I like to say that it's liberating. It's kind of
Oh,
a sense of freedom because
oh my gosh, I feel so much younger now than I did when the numbers on my age were, in my 30s.
right.
I mean, I'm 62 years old, and I run circles around most people that I meet. But that's because you're not a system that's divided against itself. Comfortable
Right.
with who you are. When you're comfortable with who you are, then all the energy that you download, you can use it to be of service. You can use it to express. And you learn that it's not coming from you in the first place. It's coming from something so much greater than you. So,
Absolutely, yes. You mentioned David Friedman's book, The Thought Exchange. So a
yes,
lot of what I do is all about thinking, and so I'm really um, aligned with our thoughts are very powerful. And you referenced it to fear and discomfort, or
yes,
just or sensations, and not you. So
yeah,
you talk about now you're comfortable with yourself. Um, if someone can't answer that question, who am I? And they don't feel comfortable with who they are, whether it's their own inner thoughts that are creating that, or it's coming from other people, what suggestions would you have for them to be able to get themselves out of that?
Well, I think the first thing is just to admit it. I don't really know who I am, and see that as a blessing and as a gift, because welcome to the few actualizing people on the planet. Welcome to the club. Because just because you go to work a certain way and you have so many children and you have so many cars doesn't mean you know who you are. Just because you're a star and you're hooked all into celebrity-itis doesn't mean that you know who you are. So if you admit to yourself, I don't really know who I am. I've done a whole lot of people pleasing. I've been climbing so many ladders in front of me. I don't know who I am. My thing is, good for you. Have a celebration party, invite your friends and go, I don't know who I am. That's a real breakthrough, because once you admit that, you'll probably realize at first what you're not, and how what you have been is not what you're not. Like Meister Eckhart says, the secret to spirituality isn't necessarily adding more things, it's subtracting. So you may notice who you're not, and you'll say, well, I don't want to be that anymore. That doesn't fit me. That doesn't suit me. No, I don't want to have conversations that are so negative and be gossiping anymore. That doesn't become me. No, I don't care how many people use profanity. It's not something, when I use muscle testing, it won't work for me. I don't care how many popular people do it. I'm not going to do it. So the more you look at what you're not, you start affirming then more of who you are. And then it just starts coming to you like a wave, because being who you're not takes a lot more work. And I think that's what people don't understand. It's not going to be work for you to step into who you are. It's like people say, well, I think about sobriety, but it'd be too hard. I'm like, are you kidding me? Being hard is being an idiot when you know better. Being hard is when you have to apologize every day of your life, or call your friends and go, did you see me at the party last night? I did this many times. Hey, how are you? It's Temple. Hi. Was I at the party last night? Well, Temple, yeah, we said hi. What did I tell you?
Yeah.
Was I with somebody? Do you know who I left with? For 15 years, I did that. Let me tell you, that's hard.
That is hard.
That's hard. Not hard is, I remember every day. I mean, so we have to untwist our insanity.
Right.
We have to untwist our insanity to come into a place of a greater reality. So it won't be hard, and it will happen really quickly. That you can sit in that, you can be in that level. But yes, Ernest Holmes would say in the teaching that you're not your experience. You are you, and you have experiences, and your experiences are out here. That's a very powerful thing. I had this experience. Somebody could have an experience that they ran into a rude car driver that was in being a rageful driver. They will make that experience themselves. They'll carry it all day long and call 12 friends, and you won't believe what happened. I was having a peaceful day. I meditated. I drank green juice. I did my celery with peanut butter, and I'm driving down the road, and this rageaholic. That experience happened to you, but you don't have to make it about you unless you choose to. And so what David Friedman says is, you have sensations that come. He said, if I went by the sensation that I had of being terrified to perform, I would never perform. I just realized it was a sensation, and then I went on to make a different choice. And that, if I had the sensation of being terrified of public speaking, I used to be a wreck, terrified. But I started realizing it was just a sensation, and I used the sensation to use it for my energy. And so, it went away. And that's what I was making a reference to, from misfit to mystic, is I could be on a plane with somebody, because I'm very social, somewhat extroverted, of course, lots of extroverted, I guess. And, somebody's talking to me, and as soon as they started asking me too much about my personal life, I started feeling something in my belly. Uh-oh, won't be good, won't be accepted. Oh, trouble. It wasn't me as an adult. It didn't have anything to do with me as an adult. I'm comfortable. But it would bring up that past stuff, as a kid. And I'd either change the subject or I'd put on my ear things and go, up. Thanks, good talking with you. And I would be the one that wasn't being holy in my being,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And that was one of the greatest teachings that I ever received. Oh, it's just a sensation. And then I would just keep talking and it went away. So it really works. And I'll have to set the two of you up if you'd like me to, because, you know, it would be great to have him interview. He's been on the Today Show a lot and he's just a great, great human being.
That would
So
be awesome. Thank you.
yeah, I'd love
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
that.
Well, it sounds like you definitely have taken ownership of who you are, and you share that with others and help people to recognize that we are all born unique with a purpose, and to find that passion of what we bring to the world,
Mhm.
and share that with others. Um, you have a big heart, and I think that if you could share some last words of wisdom of where you came from, where you are now, where you're going, and how that can be maybe some form of inspiration for those watching this interview.
Mm. Well, my guiding force is to keep my heart open. My guiding force is to still love 125% each and every time.
Mm.
And the key of life is not that you live life and you are guarded in hopes that you'll never be hurt. Because what you just told me is you're going to hurt yourself for the rest of your life because you won't ever have a really ridiculously amazing life. In other words, yes, if you have a pet, absolutely, they're going to die. They will. And they'll die in a short period of time, and it will break your heart. But you will have the best blessings for 14, 15, 17, 18 years, and then you're going to jump right in again. You know, and so many people measure that of, oh, well, yes, I would, but you know, I think he's a really nice man, but I just can't let him into my heart because, you know, I don't want to be hurt. You hurt yourself time and time and time again. When you look at our culture, you know, the number one leading cause of death is heart-related issues. Don't you think that there's a secret there?
Yes, absolutely.
You
And
don't, when you're hurt, you don't love less, you love more. You put your whole self in. You don't wait to a better time or a different time. It's a now time. And you love openly. And it's the greatest magic in the world because this inward self comfortability and love opens you that you can hear a compliment when someone gives it to you. You can hear appreciation. You can hear connection. You can see the presence of God operating in your life because you're working with the natural laws, not laws that you were taught that were made by humans, but by laws that are going on around you. You can see the butterfly, you don't miss it while you're walking around. Life is tough and it's just hard. No, it's not. When people say life is hard, it's because they don't understand the laws of how life works. So
right. Well, that's beautiful. Thank you, Temple. So tell us where people can find you.
easy enough. And a lot of things we're talking about today are in my book, When Did You Die? 8 Steps to Stop Dying Every Day and Start Waking Up. So if you have curiosity about that, that book, I do a lot of telling all and formulas and things that I did that really helped and still help me transform. It's templehayes.com. It's easy enough. Just go to my website and you can find different directions and things I'm involved in. And I just want to thank you for having me today. I just appreciate the work that you do. And thank you for inviting me into your heart space.
Oh, thank you, Temple. It's been a pleasure. And we will definitely do this again. And we will see you soon. Thank
Bless
you.
you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.